WOWT6. This is Heartland Focus.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Heartland Focus. My guest this morning is the Executive Director, the Commissioner of the Douglas County Election Office, Brian Cruz. Brian, welcome to Heartland Focus.
Thank you. Glad to be here this morning.
Yes. I tell you, you're no stranger to Heartland Focus. When there's voting, when it's voting time, it's Brian's time.
There you go. And we're happy to do it.
Yes, when it's voting time, it's Brian's time. So we're live streaming the show as well this morning. But when you look at the primary, we have a primary coming up April 6th. Talk through important dates, significant things that people should be paying attention to right now.
Sure. So yesterday was the last day to register to vote any way other than in person. So if you're not registered to vote for the city primary election, you'll have to come to our office this coming week. And the deadline for that is 6 p.m. then this coming Friday. That is also the deadline to request an early voting ballot be mailed to you. So this Friday, the 26th, is a very important deadline. Now, Monday morning, we will mail out about 70,000 ballots for those who have requested them, and in-person voting in our office will also begin. So those would be, the big important dates for the primary election here.
Okay, and so those are some of the significant, points of action. What are you anticipating in terms of just? I know there's some energy. We have, a mayoral race. We got some pretty significant local district in terms of city council. Talk a little bit about what you're anticipating. We have some information on your screen as well. Go ahead.
Sure. So, historically, city primaries have been our worst turnout for elections, 20%, which is kind of sad, really. But having said that, there is energy with the mayoral race and the city council races, as well as the election's over from last November, but in some respects, it's still kind of lingering on. So voting's still on people's minds. I'm expecting at least 30% turnout in this primary and maybe more. And as always, challenge the voters of the city of Omaha to prove me wrong in the right direction, of course.
So you're anticipating 30%. Around 30% turnout. Now, what's the number in previous primary? It was pretty high because of course, probably presidential.
Oh, so in a presidential primary, I think last year, so a year ago, when we had the presidential primary, I think our turnout was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 35 to 40%. And that was a bump on that primary as well.
Yeah.
So we're seeing turnout in elections on the upswing here in Omaha and in Douglas County, which is a good thing.
Yeah. But, when I think about it, Brian, I don't want to get political. It's hard not to sometimes. But when you think about what all has happened in the last really 2 years, it seems like those numbers would just shoot up as far as people wanting to get more involved in the election process, this thing we call democracy, and what keeps it going. I don't know, what's your thoughts about what's your thoughts about that?
Sure. Primaries always have a lower turnout because they're a function of the parties. They're individuals well, I should say in general, they're a function of the party. Now, the mayoral race and the city council races are nonpartisan. So it doesn't matter what party you're from, party doesn't appear on the ballot, and the top two vote getters in every race goes through. But in statewide and national elections, primaries are a function of the party. They're selecting their candidate, to move on to the general elections. And we always see much higher turnout in the general elections. Now, I would tell you this. In the city of Omaha general election, historically, it's been about 30%. It was 35% 4 years ago when Heath Mello ran against the mayor. I'm thinking we'll be at least in the 40% range, maybe a little higher. But if you think about that, when you walk out your front door, you look and count 10 houses. 4 of the 10 houses are going to make all of the decisions of who's going to govern the city of Omaha.
Wow.
Do you really want 6 people that you may or may not know determining who's going to govern the city for you? I don't.
Oh my goodness. That is a powerful statement, and just the reality of who's making the decision. And I tell you, I don't know about you, Brian, but leadership matters.
Oh, absolutely.
Leadership matters when you think about quality of life, where you want to live, work, and play. Our elected officials make a difference.
A huge difference. And they make every election matters, and every election can have an impact. But local elections, it's where your kids go to summer camp, the roads you drive on, the parks, the pavilions, the libraries, the swimming pools, the baseball fields, all of those things that affect your lives each and every day.
Now, is there anything, and I know, I think, this conversation about how do you awaken people to the notion that they have a voice, they can impact an election. I think case in point, in terms of just our most recent presidential election, where every single vote should count, and look at the fight, look at the money in terms of spent in terms of litigation over making sure every vote is counted. That should give us some degree of the importance and the significance of one vote.
Absolutely. And, a couple scenarios right here. One, in the May primary a year ago, we had a county commissioner that won by 3 votes. And it was Commissioner Boyle, Mike Boyle, and he didn't have an opponent in the general, so that was really the election. And we've got a U.S. House of Representatives seat over in Iowa that was won by 6 votes. So, people who say their vote doesn't count or their vote doesn't matter, I'd challenge them to ask the county commissioner or the U.S. House of Representative in Iowa if they believe that, but more importantly, ask the individual who didn't come out on top what they think.
I don't know, if it's just out of ignorance, if it's out of just, I don't care, but lives are affected based on who you have in office. And so would you, one of the things I wanted to, let's talk about, we're going to take a short break, Brian. When we come back, I want you to talk about what should people expect. Should they expect the same number of drop boxes? Let's talk about some of those things that are in place of what they should experience if they choose to vote that day, or they choose to be proactive. So stay with us. When we come back, our election commissioner will talk about what you should expect on April 6th when you go out there to get your vote on. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Heartland Focus. My guest, Brian Cruz with Douglas County Election Office. Thank you so much, Brian, for the dialogue. A good conversation. Talk about what's going to be the same. If there's any changes, let's reveal those. But April 6th, I'm assuming it's a Tuesday, right?
It is a Tuesday.
Okay,
So one of the big things, couple of the big things that are going to be the same.
Okay.
Is Election Day is Tuesday, April 6th. Polls are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Mark it down.
If you have received an early voting ballot, it has to be in one of our drop boxes or in our office by 8 p.m. on election night. Postmarks do not count.
So with that, if you just say it has to be in the election box by 8 p.m. election night.
That's right.
Now, that's if they're going to physically put it in the box.
Yes. Now, if they want to mail it by U.S. mail, they can do that with a first-class stamp. But again, our office and the post office is recommending that they mail those at least 1 week prior to the election. So the Tuesday before the election. After that, please use one of our drop boxes to ensure that it gets here on time.
So you're suggesting if they're going to mail it, they need to be proactive and mail that in at least 2 weeks before the election.
It wouldn't be bad. I mean, at least a week, but the sooner the better.
And I said 2 weeks. I'm trying to be way proactive, but for sure, minimum a week. That really creates a situation where you're giving the mail system time, just in case if there's any hiccups. Now here's the thing, Brian. Once you mail it, I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety. Did my dang ballot make it to the election commission? How do I verify that my ballot made it to you?
So you can go to our website, votedouglascounty.com, and right on that homepage, there's a picture of an envelope that says early voting. Just click on that envelope, and then right there, it says check ballot status.
Nice.
So you will know once we've received your ballot.
So you can go to, and I'm saying that because I did that. That gave me some degree of relief that I knew my vote would be counted.
Absolutely. So let's transition just real quick over to the polling place.
Okay.
So if you're planning to go to your polling place on election day, we know that many people in our community have had the vaccine or at least the first shot, but many have not. Our poll workers will be wearing masks. They will have all the PPE necessary to keep everybody safe. Hand sanitizer, wipes, a new writing utensil, a new pen for everybody, all of those things that we had last year. And the one thing that I cannot stress enough is even if you've had your shot, please wear a mask if you're going to the polling place to vote, to protect your fellow voters and our poll workers.
So what if I'm a guy where, hey, I feel this mask is taking away my civil liberties and my freedom of choice? What is going to happen? I don't want to wear a mask, Brian.
We can't and we wouldn't ever turn anybody away from a polling place because they chose not to wear a mask. We cannot require voters to wear a mask because it could be viewed as disenfranchisement. We certainly don't want that.
What if there's a city mandate, mask mandate, you still can't force it?
We still can't require voters to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But again, we're asking folks, it's only for a few minutes. We had great compliance in both May and November of last year. Almost everybody wore a mask. And again, we're asking you, please wear one. We'll have them there for you. We will have disposable masks there.
That's what's
so
up.
If you go there and you haven't been wearing one for whatever reason, or you forgot yours, we'll have one there. So just please remember, these poll workers only work these elections, once every few years.
Yeah.
So if they ask you to put a mask on and you don't have one on, please remember, they are giving of their time, and be respectful, and please just comply with them. It'll make life easier for everybody just for a few minutes.
Now, I want you're making a very, very valid point that I want to do a pivot in terms of just that right to vote. Here, we're in the midst of a pandemic, a major crisis in this country, and you just said, we would wish, we hope everybody will comply and wear a mask, right? But you cannot, you're not choosing because you don't have the power to take away that right to vote. Talk to me about what you're seeing across this country, and that, or what you would like to see here in Nebraska of figuring out ways to make it easier for people to vote versus trying to suppress and create more barriers for people to get to the polls and cast their vote in any way, shape, or fashion. There is a movement going on across this country that is dangerous, Brian. Talk to me, man.
Sure. So in Nebraska, we have 3 ways to vote. You can vote early by mail, you can vote early in person at our office, or you can go to the polling place. All 3 of those ways are extremely easy in Nebraska, and we've tried to make them easier since I've been here. One of the things that we implemented is we don't have to have a wet signature or an original signature to request a ballot. So you can fill out the card, you can fill out the form, you can write the information on a paper, and you can take a picture with your smartphone and you can email it to us that way. You can fax it, you can mail it, you can put it in a drop box. One of the other things is we've increased the number of drop boxes here. We have opened the drop boxes earlier. And it is a little perplexing to me. I think Texas maybe, but some of these other big states with large cities, I think actually maybe even Iowa, they're trying to limit drop boxes to like 1 per county. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to do that as an election official. For one thing, you'd have to have somebody stationed there 24 hours a day to empty the thing all the time, and it just doesn't make good sense. Now, one of the other things that was extremely important to me when the pandemic hit last year was we were not going to have vote centers. I was not going to cram people, say, into the CHI Center or Omaha North High School for 2 reasons. One, because of the pandemic and the social distancing, but more importantly, I am a huge believer in neighborhood polling places. That provides accessibility to voters. And we have voters all across this county that ride a bike, that ride a bus, or walk to their polling place. And as long as I'm here, we will always have neighborhood polling places.
So it sounds like our state really is kind of a model. And we're doing all, not that we don't have room to improve, but we're doing a lot right.
We are. I think we are doing a lot right. And you know what? I think that just goes to show why we have very few problems in Nebraska. We have a great relationship with the media. They help us get the information out. But because of the policies and procedures, laws that we have in place, we are able
Yeah, yeah. You got to be able to trust the system. And I think what's happening across this country is just wrong. It will make us go backwards versus moving forward. This ideal of democracy is about participation. It's government for the people, by the people. And when you start to try to legislate and policy up ways to prevent people from accessing that voting right, it's a recipe for just trouble. And this democracy will always remain fragile because it, like you said, you got to build a system that people trust, that they trust.
Absolutely. And that's what, before COVID hit, that's what my deputy, Chris Carithers, and I, we tried to do. We tried to get out there as much as we can. We went all across the county, Empowerment Network, North Omaha Neighborhood Association, South Omaha Neighborhood Association.
Moving people to action.
You know, you've got to get out. I have the attitude that we're here to serve the people.
That's right.
And so you got to get out, you got to meet them, and they got to be able to trust you. They got to be able to ask questions. And you know what? I never limited or asked for questions anywhere I went. I'm always willing to answer any question anytime, whether they're hard or whether it's a softball, so to speak.
Yeah.
You got to be able to answer the questions,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right. And when I look at it from this perspective, Brian, being a black man, too many people have fought, bled, and died for the right to vote and to participate in this land of the free and liberty and justice for all and democracy. And I think when you have pointed and intentional attacks on that, I think people like yourself, people out there that's watching this, listening to this, we have to stand. It's about the people. At the end of the day, sometimes politicians, they get it twisted or they just kind of get amnesia. They forget that they're there because of us. And I think when we stop participating and also stop holding them accountable, that's when there's that's when we're kind of off. So, hey, I need to take a break, Brian. When we come back, man, just kind of close us out with your thoughts. You're going to have 60 seconds, man, to tell us, to give us some words of wisdom as we prepare ourselves to outdo those numbers that you're predicting. You're thinking 30%. I'm gonna say on live, I want to see about 45%. We're gonna take a short break. Think about that. Hey, welcome back. My guest, Brian Cruz from Douglas County Election Commission. Hey, we're out of time, man. I'm gonna let you leave us with something, man, to move people to April 6th.
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having us on the show. It's shows like this and the media that help us get that vote out there. So I would leave folks with this. There's 3 ways to vote. You can either request a ballot by mail, you can vote in person at our office early, or you can go to your polling place. All that information is on our website, votedouglascounty.com, or you can call our office at 444-VOTE. We just encourage everybody to get out there and to vote. City elections affect your lives each and every day, from the swimming pools and the baseball fields your kids go to the roads you drive on, and the police chief, the fire chief, and all kinds of other things in between. So think about that. Think about that and get out there and vote on April 6th.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. That's really it for this segment. But you guys, just to reiterate, moving people to action. The people are rising. And particularly North Omaha, we're going to be celebrating Black women in history, because this is Women's History Month in terms of March. but we're going to have Brenda Council, Viv Ewing as some of our new panelists that's coming up on March 25th. So go out there, like our page, Moving People to Action, and visit our website. It's time. The word on the street in North Omaha is it's time for North Omaha to win. And we need the leadership that's going to reflect the strategies and the vision around North Omaha getting its fair share and moving into more of a business development strategy. That's all I have for this episode. Wear your mask, social distance, do what it takes to be good to yourself. It makes it so much easier to be good to others, you guys. We got to take care of one another, and it starts with taking care of yourself. I'm out.